So, Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) have suspended its nationwide planned strike that was supposed to start today. The strike is the protest of the hike in pump price of a fuel and electricity tariff. Report has it that there were indications that the federal government and NLC may have reached an agreement to avert the strike. Joining us now is Barrister Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, SAN. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning.
Good to have you on the show. So we're getting reports that they have obviously suspended the strike. They give it a 2 weeks ultimatum or 2 weeks period window for the government to implement what has been agreed. Could you help us confirm this?
Beg your pardon?
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I said that we're getting reports that the federal government were able to buy 2 weeks from NLC to be able to implement some of the things they've agreed on at the meeting last night. Could you give us an idea what the update is? Do you have an idea what the update is right now?
Well, the government is saying that some committees have been set up to work out palliatives. The electricity tariffs or the increase has been postponed for 2 weeks, during which time some measures will be put in place to determine whether the tariffs were called for or not. But the government has only postponed the evil day. That's my understanding. The strike has been postponed for 2 weeks. I do not, with profound respect, trust the government. I do not believe that the government will implement the recommendations or the resolutions emanating from that meeting.
Right.
So
okay.
Yes, the strike will still take place.
Right.
Yes, sir. A lot of Nigerians have also sort of expressed their discomfort about the insistence of NLC for this strike, of course, until it was suspended today, which is the federal government seemed to say to us, see, this is what we cannot afford to do this any longer. We cannot afford to pay subsidy any longer. We have to allow for these new tariffs because, you know, we can't afford to subsidize anymore. And NLC is insisting on a palliative or something. Doesn't that put the government in such a position where they would have to just say something to us, to just keep us, you know, douse the fire for a bit? And then in a few, just as you have also expressed yourself, you know, in a few weeks, we go back to status quo. Instead of us finding a better and a more sustainable way to handle this.
Well, the civil society leadership will be in touch with both the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress and TUC today. Because as far as we are concerned, there are certain developments that were not factored into the discussion. For instance, we do not accept the excuse of the government that there is no money to fund social services in our country. There is money to fund the rich. The government subsidizes the rich. So you can't say you cannot fund or subsidize the poor. Right now, about 380 companies and individuals are owing banks or AMCON 5.5 trillion naira. In December 2018, the Director General of Budget of the country, Mr. Akabuese, did announce that about the enterprises of the government, you know, the CEO, he was addressing the CEOs of the enterprises of the agencies of the government, and they pointedly accused them of not remitting to the Federation account 10 trillion that year. We're also aware there are other areas where the government can mobilize funds to meet its responsibilities to the people. So for that reason, we would like to liaise with the leadership of Labour, arm them with information on the state of the economy, so that when they are meeting the government will be persuaded to shift its position.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
And not insist on some rigidity of position.
Right. Go ahead.
So I agree with you that government funds the rich, but one of the ways government also funds projects is by borrowing. and it will hurt you when you find out that they pay subsidy again to the rich. So this is one of the reasons why most Nigerians do not support the
Which
labor.
resources? Which resources?
The Nigerians, they're borrowing to fund resources, to fund infrastructure in the country, and borrowing to pay subsidy also.
Morayo, there's no basis for taking a loan. It's about us banding our resources, human and natural resources. It's about taking control of our economy. But you can't run a country whereby the IMF insists, go and remove the so-called subsidy, go and increase electricity tariff, without considering what has been spent and wasted on that sector. President Buhari done in the last election did say that he was going to investigate the $16 billion President Obasanjo spent on generating darkness for the country. In the last 5 years, President Buhari has made available to the discos 1.7 trillion. That was after the country had sold 18 electricity companies to them at giveaway prices. So we must ask questions instead of punishing the people all the time.
Okay,
right now, the discos are owing 500 billion naira. When are you going to collect the money?
So I agree with you, sir, that we must ask questions. But at this time, at these policies that they've just brought out, the cost-reflective tariffs to to allow discos float and get value instead of funding them or giving them grants, and paying subsidy to make life easier for the poor man and then enriching the already rich.
Rich market.
Don't you agree that to take out all these costs is the best way to go at this time, while we continue to fight that they do the right things that you mentioned earlier?
No, unless the government is pushed, unless there is sufficient pressure mounted on the government, there is no way the Nigerian government will respect the wishes of Nigeria or respond to the crisis of poverty staring our people in the face. I cannot imagine. I mean, I can't imagine how people are coping in the country today in terms of sending their children to school, paying rents, skyrocketing rents, buying food items, and the government just simply says, please bear with us. Bear with us.
I need to be sure, Mr. Barrister Falana, I need to be very clear what you're saying. Are you suggesting or saying that you agree that the government should continue to pay subsidy to this few whilst they then begin to fight the other rich?
Mariah, this regime claims that subsidy was a fraud. The regime has always said there was no subsidy.
Yes.
And what you call subsidy is the importation of fuel into the country because of the irresponsibility of the government since 1999. The failure of the government to fix our refinery. You don't blame the poor for your own incompetence. And that is what is going on. So Nigeria is the only oil-producing country in the world that imports petroleum products. Just last night, the government is now saying, we are going to fix the refineries. That has been the sing song since 1999. They are always spending billions every year on turnaround maintenance. What has been turned around? This is the issue. So when they say, we can no longer subsidize, in January this year, January 16th to be specific, the government announced we can no longer sustain, they were calling it under recovery, not subsidy, because they had said subsidy was a fraud. Now the government announced that by September this year, we're going to migrate from PMS to CNG, that is compressed natural gas. And that a liter of natural gas, CNG, will cost 95 naira. Nigerians were celebrating. But what did we have in September? Increase in the price of PMS. And the government has abandoned that plan because importers of fuel said, no, please don't go there. Right now, the central bank has earmarked 250 billion naira to promote the migration from PMS to CNG. So why are you insisting on increasing fuel price when we should abandon that? And it is possible to have this conversion in 3 months. Cote d'Ivoire here, without oil or natural gas, has not less than 7,000 buses now on the streets of Abidjan, that is powered by gas. So when does the government continuously punish the poor?
Okay, go ahead, Mariam.
Okay, sir. See, this different sides of the conversation, we've heard it over and over. I mean, this year, I think this is the conversations we've had, and I can understand why we are obviously at the deadlock that we are. I personally, given these sides of conversation, I don't know what the way forward would be. In your opinion, what can the NLC...
The way forward, Mariah, the way forward is for the government to open up debates, consult with the Nigerian people. Stop listening to agents and agents of IMF and World Bank.
I agree.
That are being put together in what you call economic team. Okay. You are listening to the same voices, cracking voice, the voice of IMF and World Bank. And that is why we are not making progress. The government has lost confidence in the Nigerian people. So we are saying promote debates so that these issues can come up, we can debate them and pass a resolution that will be in the interest of the country.
Yeah, but in the meantime...
Don't tell me there are no alternatives.
Okay,
so,
I think it's clear.
These dangerous economic policies.
I think it's clear where the civil society and other parties are coming from. So what I heard him say is that there are rich people who are still owing the government trillions of naira. So there's money somewhere.
Yes.
So if you are asking the poor...
The money.
Okay, he's back. Are you still there, sir?
And the government is not collecting the money.
Yes.
But you're asking the poor.
Right.
Please tighten your bed. Tighten your bed.
All right.
Until you kill them.
Asking the same of the rich.
So I have to wrap up with you, sir. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Falana. Barrister Falana, the senior advocate of Nigeria, joined us this morning. We're still going to continue this conversation, but I hear his point. Also, the fact that...
Very clear.
And he also says that the government should stop listening to the IMFs, the foreign body, because they obviously have their own interests.
What they call the economic team, according to him, agents of the IMF and these foreign bodies. I completely agree with him. The reason is because if government were, reasoning along with Nigerians, the first thing to do was to revamp the refineries. If you were to privatize them. Wait until this refinery that all of us are relying on from Big Brother will go kick off.
They privatize the electricity and those ones don't get cost reflective.
No,
and we're
exactly.
complaining. We're going back and forth. Just like you said, it needs a proper debate.
Remove subsidy. Now for the electricity, you cannot continue to fund. This electricity takeover was because PHCN was failing us.
Yes.
And then you sold to them at the same terms that the PHCN ran us down.
The Disco is not making, they're not profitable since they got this.
That's what they say. But look at what he just reeled out as bailouts that they've gotten over the years. Trillions of naira.
Unfortunately,
so
we
it's
have
not
to
fair.
wrap up on this. Obviously, I agree with him that we need to debate this further. Let the government engage civil society, engage Nigerians. But I think generally everybody agrees that the subsidy should be stopped. It's just that ensure that money is not coming from us.
Any government that takes out subsidies without giving us refineries
I mean, that's my own side. That's what I'm understanding. My producer is telling me that's not what they would agree. But generally, that's what we are hearing. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
You can watch Your View on TVC every Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Nigerian time on DSTV channel 418, GOTV channel 27 and channel 47, StarTimes channel 121 and channel 307, Play TV channel 801 and channel 190, UHF 49, Sky channel 515 for UK viewers. Watch live on Facebook at TVC Connect and on our website tvcentertainment.tv/livestream.